Good evening. I welcome to a somewhat impromptu stream. I don't normally stream with other people on a Tuesday night. I sometimes play a game on a Tuesday night, but not often do I have a guest. And I can see we do have a couple of people in chat. So if you're in chat, say hello. Um, and
Hi, everyone.
we and this is I don't know whether you've encountered his videos before, but Richard the Dungeon Crawler. Richard, you are fairly new to YouTube, and you have a channel you've started within the last 3 or 4 months, mostly focusing on basic D&D. So how are you finding your introduction to YouTube?
Well, it's fun. I mean, I'm doing this because I like it. So it kind of started in COVID. I
Right.
was just seeing more videos of Dungeon Dragons, and it sounded interesting. So then I started researching that there was an active community. I had no idea people were still playing Beck Me Dungeon Dragons. So I just wanted to see people show people my experience of me getting back into Dungeons and Dragons.
Cool, cool. I mean, when did I mean? How far back do you go with D&D? What year did you start playing?
I would say 84 because I started in middle school. I was in the
Right.
maybe 5th or 6th grade with
Okay.
the Red Box Basic. That was the first Dungeon Dragons I've ever played.
That makes you a year or two younger than me. I make it. I would say. So you're somewhere hovering around your 50th right now.
Yes, yes.
Somewhere hovering because I was 50. I was 52 at the weekend. I first started in
Happy birthday.
1983. Thank you, thank you. I first started in 1983, and I got the. I was a bit of a mongrel when it came to D&D because I got the Moldvay Cook Expert set, but I got the Mensa Red Box Basic set.
So
So
you were
you
playing
started
with basic, but then the other version of expert.
yeah, and I didn't know. I didn't know any different. I didn't know any different. At that time, the newer blue box Mensa Expert hadn't been released here, wasn't available
Okay.
here, so I just assumed that was the way it was meant to be. And yeah, that's how you think when you're a kid. It's just like, yeah, we'll have it all. We'll have it all. And let's say hello to people in chat. Hello, Wayne's World. Hello, Halakai. Hello, Full Metal Dragon. And hello, Jean. Um, right. So, when you were playing back in school, did you have your regular nerdy group to play with,
Well, I
or was
kind of had two groups. I
yeah,
had a group of other middle school students, and we played basic, and then I had a family game where we eventually did advanced Dungeon Dragons. And at that point, I really didn't know the difference because it's kind of like you. There was so many rule sets, and there was
yeah?
no really explanation.
No, because none of it ever said this is a different game to this, and this is a different game to that, and you just grabbed bits from what you liked. And
Right.
um, I ended up playing a hybrid, which was first edition spells and classes and races and magic items and armor and weapons, but I still used basic D&D initiative
Same
because
with us.
yeah, it was just simpler, wasn't it? Just roll the
Yeah.
d6. Whoever rolls highest, go first. Off you go. Dead simple. None of the messing about as you got with the Gygaxian initiative in AD&D, which could be a bit cumbersome, shall we say? A bit
How do you
cumbersome.
do it now if you play AD&D? Would you do the Beck Me initiative or?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, I have done recently. I mean, I in recent months I'd mostly run D&D and its variants online, and it's so much easier just to keep it simple. So much easier to online play. It's all about speed, playing fluidly, and the simpler you keep it, the better.
Right.
You don't need it to be overly specific. So, you managed to get your family to play. I never got my
They
family to play.
actually got me to play. 'Cause I was the
Oh, cool.
youngest sibling, and my two older brothers played. So I do remember that they were playing kind of without me. So it took a little bit for me to get kind of the respect for them to allow me into the game. Because they
Yes,
would say
yes,
like, "Oh, this is too old for you. You know, you're too young." And eventually, I was able to get in the group with them.
I mean, my siblings. I've got a younger sister who was never interested, and a younger brother who was he's 6 years younger than me. So he'd have been about 5 when I started playing, and he was into Lego at that time, and he still does. He's a builder. He's a mechanic type. He's not into anything imaginative. No, he likes to do things with his hands. But
Well,
no,
that's why there's minis. You could always do figures, get him in
absolutely.
that
Well,
way.
that's true. That's true. That's true. Thank you for subscribing, Mika. Stream Elements has just said, thank you for subscribing, Mika. One thing I did forget to mention to you, Richard, is you can simultaneously stream this to your channel. So
Okay.
it picks up, it gets both people, but I completely forgot to mention that to you because I'm a useless host. Right. So I mean, I saw it on your channel that you joined YouTube. You set up an account about a year ago, but it took you about 9 months before you actually uploaded any videos. Were you
That's true.
Were you contemplating videos during that whole time, or was it just one
I
little
was.
boom?
I had a friend who kind of, I don't know, say pushed me, but he would. I was always talking to him about OG Dungeon Dragons, and he was saying, "Oh, you should put this, on YouTube." So it took a long time for me to kind of figure out what I wanted to post and if I wanted to post. So, because when
See,
I launched the channel, I had 9 videos, and it probably took me 3 or 4 months to get those all ready to post.
because something I have noticed from your videos is you've got a higher production quality on your video than me. You're clearly not averse to trying a few things in
Right.
your whatever software you've got. Bit of music here and sort of yeah. And whereas I all I can do is just get a picture and go put a picture in. Maybe I try and make sure it doesn't cover my face or something like that. But yeah. So how long does it take you on average to make a video, do you think?
I've been trying to do one video every 2 weeks. So it
Right.
takes me probably about, 10 days to get a video completely ready.
And how many
'Cause
hours would you say that was?
you know what?
Is it hard to judge?
Yeah, because if I'm new to filming, I'm definitely not somebody who's used to being in front of a camera. So just the filming part sometimes takes 3 hours. And then that's not, I
Yeah,
already have a script and I already know what to say. But just being in front of that camera and filming it, could take 4 hours. And then from there it's editing.
it
And then
definitely
I
gets
do this after work. So, it's finding the time to do it.
absolutely. I mean, I do this on my days off, but I make videos on my days off, which are Mondays and Tuesdays because I work in retail. And I will, I'll admit to everybody who's watching in chat at the moment that today's video took me 10 minutes to get all the pictures out of out of PDF copies of the various monster manuals, about another 10 minutes to resize them, and about 5 minutes to upload them into Tier Maker. Then I spent about 20 minutes waffling. I had to chop a little bit out in the middle when I found out that I'd got a couple of pictures in the wrong place. And then I think it was about 10 minutes editing 5 minutes converting and 10 minutes uploading. That was it. That was it. None of this flashy post-production nonsense. I just start myself up and talk nonsense. But it takes time to get to the point where you're confident to just talk rubbish. My first video was my review of UK1, Beyond the Crystal Cave, and my second job, I host pub quizzes, so I'm naturally quite confident on a microphone. And I sat there when I recorded that video. I wasn't even on video. I was just on a headset, trying to speak down a headset. And I'd put the headset on my desk. I wasn't wearing it because I didn't want it to creak or anything, because it was a creaky old headset. And I was leaning forward, talking into the headset. And I kept forgetting what I was saying. And I was thinking, shit, I should have a script somewhere. And what was I saying? I don't want to repeat myself. And then I tried to edit something together that was remotely listenable afterwards. I listened back to that now, and I'm like, it's painful. But it takes time. It just takes time. It just takes time and practice.
Your Lost City videos were one of the first ones I kind of saw and I wanted to make these videos.
All right. Was it the review I did of the Goodman Games version of Lost City?
No, didn't you do one before that? And then you did the Goodman after?
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's true. That's true. Yes. Yeah. Because I was playing somebody through the Goodman conversion, which was reminding me of how the original version played at that time. Yeah. Those were the videos that actually kickstarted my channel. First ones that really made my channel go up. I gained something like 400 or 500 subs in about 2 months as a result of those.
Is that just because people were interested in Goodman games?
Probably. I mean, it's all plateaued since, but,
right.
but they were the videos that really sort of kicked things off. But one thing I have noticed on your channel, one of your early videos, one of your first videos, your Tomb of Horrors solution, you're on 2,500 views already.
Yeah, that one did well.
Why do you think that one was particularly successful?
I think mostly because Tomb of Horrors is so iconic. Most people have played that who do OG Dungeon Dragons, so they have their own stories.
You don't think it's people trying to cheat?
Do you think so? At this point, everything's out there.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, I mean, for you to get a 2,500 hit video in your first 3 months is way more than I managed. Way more than I managed. It might be something to do with the thumbnails you're doing as well.
Yeah,
you've got some. Your thumbnails look a lot more impressive than mine. My problem with thumbnails at the moment is all my sort of templates and things and stuff are on my old computer, and I'm far too lazy to copy all those templates across to the new computer. I can't, because I haven't got Publisher or any of that sort of stuff on this new computer. So I'm having and I used to use Publisher for the templates. What do you use for yours?
It's that free one, Canva. That's the only thing I use.
Is it easy to use?
Very easy. Yeah, you just kind of throw in the picture you want, and then they have templates too.
Okay.
That's the only thing that I really find it hard to do, the thumbnails, because I always feel kind of insecure, because the videos that do well, like Mr. Beast, they have these really outgoing photos. So I try to mirror that. And sometimes I guess it works. Like, yeah, that's it. So I'm out in front of a mirror doing that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my God, the people at work are gonna really make fun of me for this. But I still just do it.
Thing is, I'm going to be blunt here. We are nerds.
Right. I agree.
We grew up in the 80s. we should be used to a little bit of ribbing.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we should be used to having heads shoved in unpleasant places and our bags emptied over the floor and all that sort of stuff. So it doesn't bother me anymore. It really doesn't bother me anymore. I have no shame. No shame. Right. Okay. Have you got a regular group nowadays?
I do not. I literally have not played Dungeons Dragons. I'd say in 20 years because I haven't found a group. I know there's online, but I'd like to actually do it in person.
Yeah. Well, when I got back to the hobby, I was playing. It was 2012 when I came back to the hobby, and I was playing in person once every 3 or 4 weeks, typically. But then I started playing more and more and more, and we only. My first experience of online play was during the pandemic because we were sort of forced into it, and I didn't like it at first, but you have to sort of adapt and get used to a different change of pace. Do you think you'd give online play a chance at some point once you've
I
got back into the
definitely
swing of it?
would. Do you play online now?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Roll20?
Yep. Roll20, Owlbear Rodeo, Discord. We have got some games that we run. In fact, some of the people in chat at the moment, Jean, is one of our weekend DMs on the Discord. Saxius has run games and played games on the Discord. Others have said they might, but no, there's probably about 15 to 20 people in the Discord channel who play regular games.
What's it like to play the old modules? Because we would already know what's going to happen.
You'd be surprised to find out just how many people didn't have much exposure to these older modules.
No.
And some of them, for example, and a lot depends on how the DM runs things as well. Have you encountered Mage's Musings channel?
I have not.
Ah, right. Okay. One of our regulars, Sean, otherwise known as Mage's Musings or Melinster Gandaldor.
Is he the one with the puppet?
He is, yes,
Yeah.
he is. He is indeed. So you have encountered, or you?
I think I've seen a couple of his videos.
Right. Well, he's basing that on Keep on the Borderlands.
Oh wait,
which is one of the most played adventures of
yeah,
all time. But yet
that was a good one.
He's made so many little adaptations, and he's added so many bits and pieces, and made it so open for the players. It doesn't feel like Keep on the Borderlands at all, and that's what can happen. I mean, I've run the modules I've run on the channel so far for old school gamers. I've run the Saltmarsh series. Are you familiar with those?
I've never played it. I hear it's really good.
Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, Danger at Dunwater, and The Final Enemy.
That's a first level game?
It started at first level, finished at about fourth. Yeah. And I'd run it again. I mean, I'd certainly run it again on the channel because it's a good series. But you'd be surprised. You would be surprised at how many people didn't play with modules or were just players and their DMs didn't have modules. In fact, look, his ears are burning. His ears are indeed burning. There he is. Yes. Speak of the mage, he shall turn up. Good evening, Sean. Afternoon, where you are.
Well, we need to adventure together, Mage.
Well, yes, you've as where is it? Where is it? Jean has said here, join ye old geek, always room for more. If you do you use Discord at all? Have you got Discord?
I have it on my computer.
Because if you look in the blurb in my videos, I'll usually put a link to my Discord channel. Click that, come along, join in. whatever,
Okay.
whatever. But as you say, you want to try and find a face-to-face group first, ideally, because that's the easiest way to get back into things.
Right.
That's if you're going to be running a game. But if you're going to be playing a game, it doesn't matter, does it really?
I want to pop in, see different people's styles.
Yeah.
And then start DMing again.
So what would you describe your style as?
Well, I think back then what I really liked was combat driven. Because looking at things now, it seems like they're more into the role playing game aspect. And that definitely wasn't how we played.
But obviously, I mean, if you're playing Beckme, combat's very lethal.
Yes.
You had a lot of
But you
characters
kind of
die.
have to pick and choose where to fight.
There you go.
Fight where to run.
Exactly. Fight or flight or talk or bribe or whatever.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, that's we do a bit of role play on there, but I think exploration is the key tier for us.
Definitely. Like, what was the one with the dinosaurs? That was amazing.
Isle of Dread.
Isle of Dread.
Yeah. We're not at the sort of level where we can really play that yet. The game we play, the D&D we're currently playing on the Discord is Old School Essentials. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I'm familiar with it.
This one here. Right. It's basically Moldvay basic, with a few AD&D bits and bobs in there. It's not strictly Beckme, but it's very, very similar. So,
in Moldvay basic, wasn't damage only a D6?
It was optional. It was optional. The variable weapon damage was an optional rule. You could just use a D6, or you could use the variable one. It was Holmes before that. I think it was pretty much D6.
That was the one.
White box, yeah. But again, I've seen some people run with the D6 and argue that if you hit someone hard with a weapon, it should always be a D6, and it doesn't matter how really. I mean, but so Beckme D&D. Is it your favourite because it was your first?
I would honestly say it was, and that's where I played the majority of the games. And like I said, we played AD&D, but I'm not even sure if the rules we used were actually edition 1. It was probably more like a Beckme version.
But you played AD&D classes, for example, so you were then allowed to have an elven magic user or a dwarven thief or something like that. Right. That's pretty much how I played it. That's pretty much how I still play it. So with Beckme, which is your favourite bit of Beckme? The B, the E, the C, the M, or the I?
I would say the B. Isn't that kind of where we got started?
Absolutely. Levels 1 to 3.
Right.
Yeah. Well, see, as Mage says here, if Beckme is your thing, you'll find OSE is 95% identical. Yes. The biggest change for me between Moldvay Basic and Mensa, sorry, I just batted my microphone. Between Moldvay and Mensa Basic, which is 1981 and 1983 Basic, yours is the Mensa, is the assumption in Beckme that the characters are going to go from level 1 to 36, and thus the thief class is absolutely nerfed in Beckme, whereas in BX it's 1 to 14, so the thief gets better faster. The thief isn't quite as pathetic at levels 2, 3, and 4, but it's still just as lethal. Just as lethal.
Did you have a go-to character back then, or character type?
Did I? Pardon?
Did you have a specific character type you liked?
I was the eternal DM back in
Oh,
the
you were.
80s. Yeah. I have not got many characters beyond first level in my life.
Really?
Simply because I'm the one running the adventures.
You're,
Uh, it's I was the one with the biggest mouth, so they made me the dungeon master. Um, what's the highest level you've got a character up to then?
we probably like 12th level.
Hmm.
I remember reading the companion books, and we could have never reached those levels. And we played on the weekend pretty consistent.
Yeah,
It just takes a lot of time and experience to get those levels.
absolutely. I mean, yeah. We've been going a year, I think, nearly. Not quite a year with the OSC, about 9 months. We've got one character at level 4, two characters at level 4. And those are characters that play in almost every game. And that's sometimes 2 sessions a weekend. And yeah, we've got a thief and a cleric to level 4. Most of the rest of the characters are still level 1 or 2.
I see you do Cthulhu. What's that like? I've never played it.
Alright, Call of Cthulhu is, I describe it as the direct opposite of D&D. You know how in D&D you start off quite normal and you become a hero.
Right.
And in newer versions of D&D, you start off almost a hero and you become a hero very quickly. And you go around doing much more heroic things very quickly. That's more modern D&D. Old school D&D is becoming a hero. Call of Cthulhu, you start off normal and you just get driven insane. You don't become a hero. You just you just get obliterated, battered back and forth, sent insane. But it's a very different game. It's horror. So the whole idea is to avoid fighting as much as possible. Everything out there can tear you limb from limb. You'll never get. You might start with about 10 hit points. Your character, no matter how long you survive, will never get more than that. You
Is there a
fall.
goal? Are you trying to win?
You tr- and it's to do with solving mysteries more than anything.
Uh,
It's a lot more. It's very investigative, and it's very much sort of solving a mystery. Like there's one adventure that I ran people through, and there were little clues dotted throughout as to how to solve it without having getting involved in a fight. Because if you got involved in a fight, you're going to die. It's as simple as that. And my party who played it missed most of the clues, got involved in a fight. 3 of them died, and 1 of them ran away. And that's how it ended. And that's how a lot of Call of Cthulhu adventures end. But it's
is
fun.
that hard to make
It's
an adjustment? If you're
hmm?
like a D&D player, you want to get into fights.
uh, it takes time to adjust. It does take time to adjust. But the satisfaction in Call of Cthulhu comes from solving the mystery, whereas in D&D, the satisfaction often comes from completing the quest, getting the loot, rescuing the fair maiden, all that sort of stuff,
Right.
as well as slaying a few lizard men and maybe maybe backstabbing a bugbear, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, Call of Cthulhu is a very different game. I mean, on the channel, I also run Middle Earth while playing. I don't know if you're a Tolkien fan
I've
or not.
never. I definitely like Tolkien.
Uh, you're not seeing this one.
Uh-uh.
Ah. It's it's a little more complicated than D&D, and it's a bit more lethal. It's grittier, and it will describe the wounds you get to you. You get. Um, for example, my party shot put a crossbow bolt through an orc's spine, and the hit described how it paralyzed the orc from the neck down. It's things like that.
Yes.
But it is, of course, it's based in Tolkien's world, and the source books. Some of the source books are massive, really detailed. So it can be hard work to create for, but I quite enjoy it. D&D is simple. D&D has that simple framework. You can throw together a D&D adventure that's going to work in 20 minutes sometimes. You just need to.
Do you think that's why D&D is so popular?
Yes, I think that's one of the main reasons why it's, certainly why it was the number one back in the 80s. It's still the big one now, but it's the big one now due to people knowing the name, due to its exposure online. But I think its simplicity certainly helped back in the late 70s, early 80s. Right. You've done some reviews of modules on your channel.
Yes.
In fact, the first of your videos I watched was your review of X4, Master of the Desert Nomads. What is your favorite BECMI module?
By far, I would say Lost City.
Lost City.
Maybe because we already were playing Dungeons and Dragons a while, but we came back to lower levels again.
Yeah.
So then I was already an experienced player, but we're with a first level character. And I just loved how you were being in a lost city, or like a lost civilization.
Yes.
And you kind of have to role play with the different factions.
Yes. There we go. Look at that. Mage knows me well. Lost City is my favorite basic adventure. I like X2 Castle Amber as well. I think that's a really, really good adventure. I don't know if you know that one well.
I played it. That seemed like it was opposite of Lost City. It wasn't like a dungeon crawl. You're just more role playing with the people who live in that castle.
Yes and no. I mean, there are dungeon crawl elements in it, and it all depends on your own approach to the castle. Certainly, there's a lot to fight in there. Hell of a lot to fight, but it's bonkers though. It is like Halakar says. Castle Amber is my escapism. It's very much escapism. It's bonkers, but it's good fun. But yeah, the Lost City, you're right, and it is the factions that make it. One of the things I didn't quite gel with the Goodman Games conversion is how they explained the way that the beast Zargon has the city under his control, and that there is something else also controlling things beneath the city itself. I thought that went a little bit wonky. Spoiler: it's drugs in the water. But
in the original module, they didn't explain it too much, right?
Well, it's better without. I think it's better not explained.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's just better that they've just been driven mad by their underground existence. I think that's a good way of explaining it. But it's a lovely dungeon crawl.
When's the last time you ran it?
Last time I ran it, about 2 years ago.
Oh, that's
about 2 years ago.
The same group you play with now?
Yes, I was running it throughout COVID, and we're still there's still got some characters in the Lost City, but it's somewhat stalled because another guy is running DMing for that group at the moment. He wanted to learn to DM, and I was quite happy to step back and let him do it because I run enough games as it is on the channel. So they're currently beneath the Lost City in the Goodman Games bit, but also I completely fell out with 5th edition, so I'm having to convert them all back to basic because the Goodman Games one is a conversion to 5th edition D&D.
And that group is playing the 5th edition?
They were, but they're not now.
Mm-hmm.
I've converted their characters. General Nut, if you play the original Lost City, it's nothing to do with that. You don't need to play the Goodman Games one. The original Lost City is better, in my opinion. It is better.
I like the
I would
Goodman
play.
games, though. At least they have the original
They do,
modules
yes,
in there.
they do. And what they did with the city, I mean, if I was to run it again, I would change aspects of the city. I would change that that bit I mentioned about the water being drugged and all that. I would change that because that's one bit I'm not all that enamored with. So yeah, I mean, yeah, General Nut, I'll run you. General Nut, I'll run you through the Lost City at some point, and the water will not be drugged. Anyway, where were we? What's your least favorite Beckamy module?
What was there was one on the it looked like the orcs were Pacific Islanders.
Oh,
It was
Drums on
red
Fire
with a
Mountain.
green cover.
Drums on Fire Mountain.
Yes. Well, was that the one where what I didn't like it that the temple on each area was the same. So there was the same temple on different areas of the map, but the layout was exactly the same. I think it was the Fire Mountain.
I don't know. I mean, if it's one of the later X modules, I don't know those very well. I wonder if Mage's Musings is a bit of a Beckamy expert, so I don't know whether he'll be able to look it up. Quagmire.
Quagmire. That's
Quagmire. The one with the snake on the cover.
Yes. It just seemed lazy.
It's got a lot of dodgy reviews, and as a result, I've never paid much attention to it. I'm wondering if someone in chat is going to come and defend Quagmire now. They might want to. Even that might not. I mean, a lot of these people in chat. General Nut was one of my first players on Discord. He's been a long time supporter of the channel, and I thought you were a bit of an expert. Yeah, well, Mage, you know your modules, don't you? You know your modules, Mage. WebTech Future with Tony Race is he one of your channel commenters?
Yes. Actually, he's the one I talked about earlier that he got me into posting on YouTube. So he was my office mate for many years.
Well, you've got Tony Race here with you, and I've just noticed I have a post here from a certain Antonio Elioteri, who was my first DM when I came back to the hobby around 2012. Hello, Antonio. How you doing? How's Stafford? How you doing? But yes, B4 does. B4 does indeed rock. But yes, Antonio helps me get back into the hobby.
Well, we both had Antonios help us.
Oh, is your Tony and Antonio as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Antonio meet Antonio. Right, so you don't like Quagmire, but you do like.
So what's your least favorite module?
My least favorite module. I'm going to let chat answer that. Chat will know which module I absolutely detest. I've done a video entitled "The Worst AD&D Module of All Time." The worst basic D&D module is worst AD&D, the N2, the Forest Oracle.
I'm not familiar with that.
It's a carnage. It's a car crash. It's abysmal. I did a series of 13 shorts on the first half of the adventure, picking out bits that were bad about it. I need to finish those. It's often quoted as it's just appalling. B9 is shocking, Mage. B9, Castle Caldwell and Beyond is appalling. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of B8 either. Journey to the Rock. Don't like B8. Don't particularly like X3 either. Curse of Xanathon. I think it's tedious. But, there we go. there's a few. There's a few I don't like. H4's rubbish. Throne of Bloodstone. C3, Lost Island of Castanamere, is hopeless as well. What other bad ones were there? WG7, Castle Greyhawk. Is it WG7 or was it WG8? Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember. Anyway. So
Red Arrow Black Shield, something I want to run. It seems amazing. I've never heard of that back in the day, and then I see videos of it. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a sequel to X4 and X5, but not really, but played sometime in the future, wasn't it? I think it was. It could be played after X5. I think that was its intention. It sounds good. It does sound good. I've not played it though. I like the cover to it. I think it's got a very, very attractive cover, but it's expensive now. It's one of the ones I haven't got.
Well, they have the PDFs now.
Well, yes. Have you ever encountered B10?
What's the title of that one?
Night's Dark Terror.
No, is that a UK one?
Yes.
See, I'm from Sacramento, and I don't remember any of those UK modules. So I'm not sure if our local shop had those.
B10 is one of those hidden gems. I'd love to play it as a player, so I've not paid it as much attention as some of the modules I've reviewed. So I want to play it. It's levels 2 to 4, and it was designed to be like a linking adventure to go from basic to expert, but it's massive and it's very expensive now. Very expensive.
Does it have chits too?
Yeah, it's all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Seems like that's what jacks up the price.
Yeah. They want you to ask me about Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Have you ever encountered that one?
I have not.
S3. An AD&D adventure on a crashed spaceship.
Oh, okay. I played through that one. I wasn't a fan because I remember playing it and they had some cool weapons, and then my DM took them away, like the laser guns and things. So I was like, "What the hell?"
See, I'm not a sci-fi fan, and I get all pedantic and stroppy when people try and put sci-fi in my D&D.
That's the one with the handout with robots and other futuristic things, right?
Yes. Exactly.
At least it has cool artwork.
Yeah, the artwork is fine. Yeah, lots of good Errol Otis stuff in there. It was the artwork was very characterful, very entertaining. But so off D&D, any other role-playing games you've played, or is it just D&D?
After D&D, I started playing Robotech. I know it's a Palladium game, so we were pretty into that one during kind of high school era. But I think mostly because we liked Macross or Robotech, so my group was really into that.
One of the regulars in my chat, Crafting Gamer, has got a channel almost solely on Robotech. That's his thing. And there's certainly plenty of people who deal with Robotech on YouTube, on the internet. I don't think it gathers as much steam as D&D, but the nearest I ever got anything to, I did play a little bit of MechWarrior on the PC when that first came out.
That was a great game.
But the only, I think Car Wars is probably the closest I've ever got to Robotech. Do you ever hear of that?
I remember seeing it. Didn't it have small little boxes? Like the adventures were We're in little small little clear boxes.
You could, yeah, you could get it. I've got the larger box set. There were some later larger box sets, and I've got 2 or 3 of those. Antonio, are you lagging? Are you a bit behind? Because I said hello to you probably about 10 minutes ago. But Antonio is probably catching up. Yes, Antonio is lagging. Antonio, bring yourself up to date. They'll hear that in 10 minutes. But yeah, Car Wars is good fun. I spend all afternoon building a car, putting all sorts of guns and armor on it, drive into the stadium where you're going to do battle, fail a control check in the first few seconds, roll over, and the car bursts into flames, and your man dies. I've seen that happen. But it's fun. It's fun. Wouldn't play it as a role-playing game, I don't think.
I saw a video where you bought a car, or you have a car, a new one.
Which one?
I saw a video where you were talking about a car.
Oh, a real car.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm always playing cars. I don't put guns on them though.
I wasn't familiar with that one. Is that a UK car?
Which one? Hyundai. One I bought.
Oh, it was a Hyundai. But what was the model?
Hyundai. It's a Hyundai, or you might call it Hyundai over there.
Yeah.
An i40. That's what I bought.
The i4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have my original car I bought in high school, a 1972 Chevy Nova.
That I have no idea what that is.
No, you have to Google it. It's a big muscle car.
Oh, cool.
Definitely not like the Hyundai.
My first car was a Mini. Do you remember the little British Minis that you saw in the film The Italian Job?
Yeah.
My first car was one of those. I crashed it into the side of somebody else's big family saloon car, and it lost. It lost.
Oh no. You were okay?
Oh, absolutely fine. I wasn't going very fast. You couldn't go very fast in one of those. There we go. Look. I pushed more Novas than any other car. So that's cool. If you've still got an old 1970s car you look after, that's cool. I used to race.
I do. It sits in my garage. I try to take it out every few weeks.
I've got an old rally car, an old racing car. It was a whopping 1000cc 50 brake horsepower rally car that I used to race through the Welsh forests.
Nice.
Poor thing hasn't moved for 10 years. But I drove it at 90 odd mile an hour through the Welsh forests. Which was fun. All right, anyway, back to gaming. Let's go back to gaming. Right. Did you have a favorite D&D artist?
Jeff Easley.
Jeff Easley. Right. Is that because of the Beck Me covers?
Yes. I mean, those are pretty iconic covers.
Yeah. Yes. The red box cover, that battle with the dragon with all the treasure and stuff. It's
Right.
Yeah. And internal art. I was a big fan of Elmore's internal art in the Beck Me books. I never really liked his color covers, but I thought his internal black and white stuff in the basic and expert books was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Who did the Dragonlance covers?
That was a mixture. Easley did some, Caldwell did some, Elmore did some. It varies from module to module. I think Caldwell did the first one.
And he was Ravenloft too?
Yes, he was. Yes, yeah. He's one of the one of that sort of middle era, which was Caldwell, Parkinson, Easley, and Elmore, sort of dominated sort of about 1983 to 86 covers. And yeah, there was some good stuff then. Some really good stuff.
You have a ranking video, right, on the covers?
I do. Yes. Yes, and people. It's one of my most disliked. I mean, the videos where I give my opinions are the ones that get the most dislikes. the video I did on most of my videos, luckily, are getting about 98% approval rating. The ones where I attempt to inject a bit of humor or say something slightly controversial to wind people up always get down votes. People don't get the joke. Did you see the list I did of where I tried to rank all the basic D&D modules?
Yes, I saw a lot of
And
your ranking videos. Seems like you're
um,
getting back into the ranking, right?
oh, I had to go with that today. But partly it was a bit of a joke in that one. When I say I rate B9 and B8, and then I rate a whole bunch of them that I know nothing about, and then I start ranking the ones I really know. I know
Yeah.
something about, and it was actually intended to be a joke because the idea was that I really don't like B8 and B9. So something I know nothing about has to be better than something I don't like.
Yeah.
That was the point. That was the point. People were like, how could you rank things that you? And I was like, oh, just lighten up, lighten up. That's only got about
But those
90%
comments,
approval.
at least you know why they didn't like it. It's kind of weird
Yeah.
when you get a random this thumb down. You're like, what did I do?
One thing I'm going to say is don't take those personally. I used to take them personally and sit there and go, why would someone dislike that? I spent hours on that and I'm all smiley and happy and nice and being nice about it. And someone's clicked thumbs down. People will do that. People will just do it.
But I would
Basically,
prefer like a negative comment because then I would at least know,
true.
why
So
they
would
didn't
I.
like it.
So would I. But one thing to remember is it's better for your channel for them to click on your video and then click on either the thumb up or the thumb down before leaving than it is for them to click on your video and leave straight away.
Is it? I
Because
didn't know that.
because the YouTube algorithm, any sort of interaction is classed as classed as good interaction by YouTube. So the more thumbs ups and thumbs downs you get are better than nothing at all. The worst thing you can possibly have are those 1 second views where someone flicks on
Right.
and flicks straight off again.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. So yeah. So if you get the odd thumb, I mean, it takes a long time. You get very precious over your thumbs ups, and you take it all personally, especially when you're new to YouTube. It's like, oh, why would someone dislike that? But eventually, just
But you're so nice, John. Nobody's gonna give you a thumbs down.
oh, they do. I've been called some very rude words on Twitter recently. Yeah. I don't know. Did you see the one I did about not wanting politics in the hobby?
I remember seeing that.
The one I did recently, where
Yes.
somebody has done a retro clone of Whitebox, and then put this big rant about how horrible Gygax and Arneson were, and then faded it out so it's almost unreadable, but it is still readable if you focus on it. And you read down the page, and it's basically calling them all sorts of words. I had somebody really go at me on Twitter about my response to that, calling me every name under the sun.
But that's just on Twitter, right? Because if I go to a
Oh
game
yeah,
store,
yeah,
nobody's
yeah.
doing that.
No, exactly. It's just Twitter's bonkers, isn't it? I mean, let's face it, Twitter's. But the person who went mad at me is a game creator who works for one of the major gaming companies,
Uh,
and he's blocked me on Twitter because I
uh,
basically told him to I told him to get out of his echo chamber. So, and he responded by blocking me because I'm just ultra moderate when it comes to things. I hate um, activism in a game. I just want to play. I don't want someone to be pushing their politics in a game. And that's basically what I said. And he was like, and he called me all sorts of names. I was, get out of your echo chamber, click. And he blocks me. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Halakar's taking the mickey. Boo! Balloona are colonizers. I mean, for me, I think what who's Echo Chat? It was the guy who had a rant at me was a guy who works for Green Ronin Publishing Mage. You may have heard of them. He had a rant at me on Twitter and he blocked me. So I was never going to buy any Green Ronin stuff anyway, but I'm definitely not now.
I've never heard of
General,
them. Is that a real small
yeah,
company?
they're not that. They're one of the bigger companies.
There.
They're obviously not nowhere in the size of your Chaosiums, your Paisos, and your Wizards of the Coast nowadays, but they're one of the bigger ones. General Nut doesn't seem to think I'm nice. I've run I've run a lot of games for Nutty on Discord. Yes, I am very nice. I'm smiley. I'm happy. But
I'm with you,
for
John.
me,
You're a nice guy.
yeah, for me, gaming is all about having fun. It's all about having fun. It's all about playing with a smile on your face, having a joke, being able to laugh at yourself, to laugh at each other, and to laugh with each other. Just don't take life seriously. That's my thing when it comes to gaming. And if you've ever, you won't have heard my stupid voices and things like that, and the goblin nonsense that it was me and Nutty and Gingerbeard with our stupid goblins tormenting poor Saxius with our stupid goblin voices. Yes. Well, kept going. Those go for hours.
So I have a
Malachi,
question for you.
what's that? Go on in.
In the UK in the 80s, what was the Dungeon Dragons like? Because did you go through the Satanic Panic and that kind of things?
We heard, certainly in my sort of circles, we heard there was something going on in America, and I have heard of people having issues, but I never witnessed it. It certainly
No.
wasn't a big thing. We do have our fair share of people who will push things a little bit too far from time to time, but it didn't get much of a hold over here. It really didn't. I don't remember knowing whether I hadn't seen anything to do with D&D existing until 1983 personally, so it hadn't even crossed my radar. And by then, I think the Satanic Panic was dying down in America by then. And we heard rumors that things were being said in America, but my parents are just like, I think the daft thing about all of that is we were learning how to read long words, learning how to solve puzzles, learning how to communicate with people, learning how to add up numbers quickly, learning how to cross-reference and use indexes in books, creative thinking. That's what we're doing. It was all positive. That's a stupid thing about it.
No, I think that's why my mom liked Dungeons Dragons, because she wanted me to read,
yeah,
and I'd be like, "Oh, let's go to the bookstore."
Absolutely. Yeah, if my face was buried in a D&D book, then I wasn't outside annoying the neighbours. Right. So, and I did that I was quite a loud kid, so yeah. Right.
What's the UK culture like now for role-playing game? Are there big conventions?
Yeah. It's getting there. I think it's the UK Games Expo happens every summer in the city where I'm based. There are some London-based conventions, but there's about 35,000 people went to the Games Expo this summer. And
have you ever wanted to run a game
at an expo?
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, I am hoping maybe next year. Those who are Canadian in chat, I'm hoping to run a game at Clericon next year, but I need to make sure I get a passport and a ticket and the permission from the wife first. I haven't told her. That's a convention that was being
That's
run.
The Dungeon Minister.
Dungeon Minister, yeah. Are you familiar with the Dungeon Minister?
I am, yeah.
Yes, yeah. A lot of the guys in chat were at his convention last weekend. I'd like to run Call of Cthulhu there just to torment people.
Well, if you go there, I'll go.
Excellent. Well, it's a hell of a way for you as well, though, isn't it? You're in Sacramento.
Well,
I'm
I'm
in
in Los
England,
Angeles. Yeah, so
Los Angeles, and I'm in
right.
England.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot long.
it's halfway in between, isn't it? Roughly. We can possibly get a group pick of all of us. Yes, I think so. Major's Musings. I'm not surprised, Nutty. I'm not surprised, Nutty. It's a General Nut. Is that the first time you managed to get to play a game since you were not very well recently? Nice to see you've signed up for Saturday's game. Good to see you back. Good to see you back. But yeah, General Nut and Major's Musings were there. Was anybody else who was in chat? Anyone else? No. No Slan tonight. Remember the Slan here? No, I know he was there.
Did anyone win those prizes in chat?
Yeah, Major's Musings won the Necronom Nom 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 Nom.
Oh,
you know the panel that he did, the hour-long
yes,
panel.
I saw part of it.
That was Mage. That was Major's Musings.
Oh, was?
Yeah, yes. Quality, Nutty, quality. Yeah, it'd be nice to see you there as well, Halakar. It would be good. There's no tentative date for it yet. I'm hoping he keeps an autumn date because flights from the UK are much cheaper in autumn than they are in summer. Otherwise, I might have affordability issues and fights with the wife.
Well, you could bring her along, take her to the States.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he's in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Where?
On Toronto.
Where was it? Oh,
Toronto.
Toronto.
Glen Williams near Toronto, I believe.
Yes.
I can just see it now, though. Becky, fancy going to Canada? Oh yeah, I've always wanted to go to Canada. Next year? Oh yeah, I'll get a holiday. Sort of. Going to go roll some dice with all my nerdy friends. Piss off. Yeah, that would be divorce material. That really would.
Well, that's like 3 days. Be like, the rest of the time is yours, baby.
Yeah. I couldn't get away with it for those 3 days. That's the thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. I get that, Halakar. Yes. Yeah. It might. It's in Canada though, isn't it? I mean, it shouldn't be an issue there, should it? Does it affect Canada being election time in the USA? Sign her up for shows in Toronto. Just send her out. Go out for a night in Canada in a strange city by yourself. Go on. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so I've asked you a few more questions. I've still got a few questions down here. What is your favourite style of adventure? Do you like the sandboxy ones or do you like the story ones? Exploration or what?
Well, I would say, as a player, the exploration, kind of like a hex crawl.
Right.
To run it, I like more of the story aspect because it was easier to run. Like,
yeah, I mean that's like
Desert Nomads. I remember running that back in the day, and I was able to do it because it gives you real set encounters, and you're like, do this.
It did help with that adventure that they were pretty well set up encounters. They were quite engaging. I wasn't a big fan of that thing in the marsh. Can't remember what that was called. But meeting the Nagpa is good fun.
Definitely.
And that bit at the end where you've got the evil abbey, as you said in your review, that is fantastic. That's fantastic. One thing I have noticed about your reviews tend to be look like they're very much aimed at DMs, aren't they? Because you go into the story details of the adventure.
I try, yeah.
A lot more.
Who do you think would be watching these videos? Don't you think it'd be more the the DMs?
I mean, I know I've got some people who watch, yes, mostly DMs, but I've got few people who commented, certainly on some of my earlier videos, who liked the fact that I didn't give away any real spoilers.
No.
They'd say things like, "I'll ask my DM to run this adventure for me."
Oh, that's good.
But I'm just saying, because I mean, you're clearly aiming yours at DM, so you don't mind giving spoilers, and you do go into the story aspects a lot more than I do. You go into it a lot more deeply and a lot more colourfully. I tend to I try to be I try to objectively analyze, and you're there going, "Oh, and this story thing happens, and this was really good, and oh yeah, and a dragon comes down here, and that's more your sort of thing." Whereas,
So what do you have
yeah.
coming down the pipe? Are you working on some nice new videos?
Something I was supposed to do today when I decided to do demons and devils and things instead is I was going to finish reading The Call of Cthulhu today. But there was drilling going on outside that kept stopping and starting. And I didn't want to, when I'm reading a book and recording just my voice, I want it to be as quiet as possible. And there's already a lot of editing going on in that. So I decided not to. And I thought if I close the curtains, I can get away with doing a tier video or something, even if the drilling starts up. But yeah, I want to do a bit more reading, and I would like to run some live games on the channel at some point. I'd like to run a live Call of Cthulhu game on the channel, but generally I don't plan much ahead.
No.
I'll often sit there on a Tuesday morning and think, it's video making day. What should I do today?
Even your ranking videos, it seems, I thought you kind of scripted those.
No.
No? It's all off the cuff?
I knew I was going to say that thing about Glacier and Asmodeus. That was it. The rest of it was just off the cuff. Yeah, I did briefly read through and just to recall a few details about some of the devils and demons, just as to who was the toughest and who wasn't, and who had whatever alliance. And I forgot most of it anyway. I forgot the name of that Hutujin or whatever it was. Forgot his name. Still can't remember it now.
What about those ones like the best AD&D modules? Did you know the ranking before you started that?
Well, with that one, yes, that was scripted. The best aid, because back in 2018, 2019, I just started a new job in a shop, and I had a lot of downtime during the day when the shop was quiet. If you work in retail, it's busy when the shop opens, busy at lunchtime, busy around closing time, but in between was just deathly dull and boring. And when I'd finished all my jobs, I thought I started messing around on Facebook groups for AD&D, and I remembered reading a Dungeon Magazine article on the best AD&D adventures, and I remembered how disappointingly bad it was. And I thought, I'm getting to know some of these people in these Facebook groups, and I put it out there. Why don't we do a poll? And as soon as somebody said yes, I was doing it. That's all it took. And so I was posting up lists of modules and telling people to vote. And about 20 people voted on the first poll, and about 30 people voted on the second one. And by the time we got to like the fifth or the sixth group of modules, because I had them all divided into groups, we were getting 100+ people engaged. And I started thinking, hang on, this is really working. So I added extra rounds to it, to have the first round as a qualifying round, and then had little groups and playoffs, there must have been 500 people in that group voting in the final. Wow. That's what produced that ranking. So some people have commented in there saying, blah, 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 you think this ranking is better than blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, I do, because in the final votes, there were 500 enthusiasts voting on Facebook. no, it wasn't 20 industry types. It was 500 enthusiasts who are specifically members of an AD&D Facebook group, and I was the poor sod counting all those votes. But people were getting really involved, and yeah, I do think it came up with a lot better results than the dungeon poll, to be honest. So what I'm going to say to the people who are naysayers for that is,
Yeah. How long ago was that?
I did that poll about nearly 5 years ago now.
Would you ever think about doing it again, seeing what's changed?
No. No, I hardly ever use Facebook now, and my online stuff is a lot more focused, and it's more focused on playing rather than I'm trying to play as much as possible. That's the point. That's the whole point. Yeah, I was supposed to have a book narration for you for Halloween, Halakha. Yeah, I was supposed to finish that for Halloween. It's just taken a lot longer than usual. A lot longer than usual. Anyway, what's the next question? So yeah, you say you like playing in exploration type games, your hex crawls, your dungeon crawls, but you prefer running a more story based one. Thus,
I think
X4.
just because at that time it was definitely easier for me to do.
Yes. Do you think it would be different now if you're running as an adult?
Oh, I'm sure. I think I would like to do an exploration.
I mean, obviously, I can say from experience, it takes time to rebuild a bit of confidence. It certainly took me 5 or 6 years really to get back into my stride when it came to DMing again. And I would say running online is what has helped the most for me. It's made me more aware of the game pace and keeping people engaged. But
you haven't posted any of those adventures?
I've never recorded myself running a game.
No.
Never recorded.
Is that something you're thinking about?
I would do at some point. Yes. It's finding a time and an ideal adventure, and someone who's willing to sit there and play, and get the right sort of people to engage with it, and get a group together. It's not easy. Running online made me meaner. I'm not mean. It's not my fault you miss all the good treasure in the OSE dungeon I run you through. Other people who've played will tell you that they have found some good stuff. They just haven't found it when you're there, nutty. Right. Do you do much writing yourself? Have you written much?
No, not at all.
Not at all. I attempted to.
And what happened?
I mean, in terms of writing your own adventure for people to play through.
Oh, well, I've created home brews and things. When I thought you said writing, I thought you meant like like a short story or something.
Oh no, I've never written a short story. No.
But I think I did mostly kind of scripted modules, and then I would add to them. Or there's things I didn't like, and I would take it out and just kind of strip what I found, what I liked.
I mean, that's what they're generally for. I mean, if I run an adventure to be, I will, first time I run it, I'll always try and run it as close to the way it's written as possible to see what needs happening. I'm not very good at judging whether something will work on a first playthrough, but I'm quite happy after playing it through and finding what works and what doesn't, to then tear it apart and use what's best and what's not. But that's why I'll only ever review things that I have played, so I can properly judge them. I'll never review something that I've just read. I did have a few people get in touch with me to do reviews. Can we interest you in sending you our latest adventure and for you to write a review on it? And my reply to that was, well, you're going to have to wait probably about 6 months because I will only review adventures I have run. And they were like, oh, okay. So, it's just what that is a thing with me. How can you? For me, it's how can I review? I'd feel like a fraud. I'd feel like a fake if I was reviewing something I'd never used without openly admitting I'd never used it. And if I've never used it, then my opinion is worthless. So anyway, right. So what's your next review you're doing? Have you got any lined
I've
up?
been so there was Amazon Prime Day, and I bought a bunch of dungeon tiles. So that's my next video is kind of just doing an unboxing. But I think in the
Right.
future I want to kind of set up Castle Misdemeanor and do like a run through of that. Are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
familiar with that?
It's the dungeon that's in the basic book.
Yes, yes.
I know it isn't. Mage, aren't you doing something regarding Castle Mr. Mere? Or was it Gingerbeard who was doing that? I can't remember who's doing it. But yes, I mean that's one of those layouts that people will often have tried to do something with. No, look, they're saying horrible things about me in chat. Saying horrible. General Nut, Mage is bitter because he played in one session where they got about 100 XP. He missed the session a week later when they got about 700 XP each, about 500 of that from gold. Then he played in the next session when they got about 100 XP again. It's just he keeps missing the ones that hand out tons of XP. To which I say, again. Yes, that's what happens. It happens with it's a drop in and drop out game that we run on a Saturday, so people can just turn up and play. There's no compulsion to play at all. You just join in. So, what are your plans for? What are your plans for Castle Misdemeanor then? What do you want to have going on underneath it?
I was going to show the kind of the beginning of the adventure where the party fights the Karen Crawler,
Yeah.
and then there's the 10 orcs they have to get through the gate.
Is it
So I think I was just going to.
Is it kobold? I thought it was kobolds.
Cobalt, or how to? I always say cobalt.
No, I thought they were. Are they? I thought you said 10 orcs by the gate. I thought they were.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's kobolds.
It is kobolds, yes.
I thought I pronounced it wrong because I hear some people on YouTube call it kobolds. I'm like, what is that?
For me, it was always kobold, with the emphasis on the second syllable. But I know in America it's kobold. It's just different. I know it comes from cobalt, so yes, my pronunciation is probably appalling for that one. We always said kobold. Doesn't matter. I was.
So I think I'm going to run through like a demo of that of that combat.
Right. Right. So you're demonstrating the rules basically
yes
on the channel. Well, that's right. That something I've never really done is demonstrate rules. I was thinking about doing that for MERP, running through a basic rules demonstration, but MERP's complicated and I tie myself in knots.
Are you familiar with Dungeon Crawl Classics? It seems like a pretty cool game.
Yes, I have played it, but the DM of those sessions had a bit of a hissy fit with it because he didn't like all the tables in it, looking up too many tables as we were playing. I enjoyed playing it. It got a bit silly occasionally. Yeah, Castle Misdemeanor General Nut is the dungeon in Beckney. And I mean, I enjoyed it because it was 2 hours once a fortnight, and that's fine for silliness for me. But
what do you mean by silliness?
DCC can get very silly. It can go a bit bonkers. It can very quickly become very unbelievable. but you just have to lean into it. You just have to lean into it and say, "Oh, this is what the game's all about." You can just get very daft. So for 2 weeks in a fortnight, just larking around, being silly. It was good fun. I wouldn't want to play it often though. That's the thing.
No. Did you do the first level funnels?
We didn't there, but we have since played a couple of funnels, but using OSE rules, using dead characters as a chance to OSE being basic D&D, using characters that had died as a chance to get resurrected.
Oh, that's interesting.
The second one we went through, we still have all the characters that played through the second one are still in purgatory. They completely failed. The whole party completely failed. The first one, it was just my paladin that failed. Everyone else got brought back to life, but my paladin got chomped.
So I unfortunately missed your Friday stream. What happened?
Oh,
it's a new adventure, right?
We played this book twice and died twice. Twice, yes. We didn't last very long. We just got splattered. It was pretty brutal. One of them was quite an arbitrary death. The other one was not quite so arbitrary. It was just a really hard fight that the people ran into. That chat forced us to run into and got us killed. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Yeah, Halakar says, I thought DCC was fun for one adventure, but after that it gets a bit too much, and Major's Musing seems to agree. The guy who pronounces it Kobold. Kobold. I've always said Kobold. I've always said. It's one of those things. It's is there a correct pronunciation? It's people say Asmodeus. People say Asmodeus. I've heard people say Demogorgon, and we over here we say Demogorgon. I don't think anyone knows how to pronounce Kostichichichichichi, that one, but hey ho. Right, you've got on your channel. You've got some board gamey stuff.
I do, but I pretty much only bought those for the minis.
Right. So you haven't really played them much.
I played just to see what it was like, but I guess I'm definitely not a board game person. Because I did play through them.
You played them,
but I get more fun out of painting them, honestly.
It's a good way of getting hold of miniatures, isn't it, from board games? And yeah, one that I haven't yet seen your video on learning to paint. That's one I do need to watch. Do you have any of your minis handy? Do you want to wave
them at the camera? They're in the other room, but they're honestly not that great since I'm learning too. But I get some good comments.
We've all got to start somewhere. We've all got to start somewhere. We've got to start somewhere. I mean, what I can say is that washes are your friend, especially the shade type washes. I've got 4 bottles of sort of like a light shade, medium shade, dark shade, and black shade. And depending on what color you're putting them on top of, they just sink into the gaps. And anyone would think you'd spent ages putting all the shading in there, but no, you haven't. You've just gone with some shade to make it look nice. It smooths everything off lovely.
But when you play Dungeons & Dragons, you don't play with minis?
Only for big combats. I only use them for big combats. Or where the players are unsure, where positioning is really important. I would when we play online, we play in Roll20, and certainly in my game, my players are drawing the map as they go along. We do the same
old school style.
Yeah.
Do you have a caller?
No. But they're drawing it in Roll20, and they've got little tokens that they're moving around this map in Roll20. And if I was fussy about distances, it would go completely wrong. It would go completely wrong because some of the the scales in there are so far out. Do you play on? Would you prefer to play on a board or with dungeon tiles?
For the big combats. No, I'm with you. I think you should do theater of the mind to make it a speedier adventure. But on the big battles, I would definitely want a grid.
See, I mean, while I'm happy with it being on a board for big battles, I don't like the presence of a grid.
No,
As far as I'm concerned, if I draw a room and say it's roughly 60-foot radius, it means it's big. And draw a big circle, roughly 60-foot radius. Then they'll get an idea that if they drop a fireball in one part of it, they'll hit about a quarter of it. I don't need to be any more fussy than that.
yeah.
In the middle, if you're in the outer ring, you're fine. If you're towards the middle, oh yeah, you're gonna get incinerated. It's just about being quick, but it's about being consistent as well. I think just be consistent. Let your players know that they can trust you, and none have pronounced. Now I don't know. I believe that would be Charybdis, but let me know whether I'm right or wrong. Whether it's Charybdis. I don't think it's Charybdis. I think it's Charybdis. Shut it, Nutty. Shut it, Nutty. Right. So, other game systems. You said you played a little bit of Palladium. Is there
Only
anything else?
of Robotech.
Is there anything else that you've seen through the years that you've wanted to play and never got to play?
I was doing some Star Wars too. I think those were probably the main things I played through: Dungeon Dragons, Robotech, and then I think it was West End Games, Star Wars.
I got. Was this West End Games? Yes, I've got a West End. That is the only sci-fi book I own. Have you ever seen that?
So you like sci-fi, just not in your Dungeons Dragons?
No, I don't like sci-fi.
No?
That is just a complete piss take. Basically, imagine the book 1984, but set in the future. And Big Brother is an insane computer that has just gone berserk. You role play as one of 6 clones. You have 6 lives. It's so lethal that you're expected to lose clones in the mission briefing at the start. You're all bred in breeding vats. It is illegal to be a communist, illegal to be a traitor, illegal to, and treason is punishable by instant death. You must be happy at all times because friend computer tells you must be. The friend computer would never give you a mission that would hurt you, would he? Are you happy? Friend computer would never give you anything that might blow up in your face. You have to test this stuff that friend computer gives you that will definitely blow up in your face. Everyone has got a mutant power. It is illegal to have a mutant power. Everyone is a member of a secret society. It is illegal to be a member of a secret society. Hence, it's called paranoia, because you're trying to win brownie points from friend computer by ratting on all your fellow players and getting all them in trouble, making them the scapegoats for the fact that your missions fail all the time and everybody dies and things blow up and go wrong. It's very, very silly, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Have you ran that recently?
Yes. Give you an example of one situation. One of my players had got these boots of climbing, and they were these big metal boots with a sticky substance on underneath, so you could walk up a wall.
Okay.
Right. The problem is they hadn't got the speed of the glue hardening quite right. You were fine as long as you kept moving, but if you stopped, you were stuck. So when he tested them out and he was walking up a wall, I was running the game. This is when some guards turned up and asked him why he was going up towards a a cordoned off area, which was a grating that these assassins had jumped out of. He was going to go and examine it, and he was there going, I'm investigating some some traitors. I believe they went down this grate. All right, well, come down then, citizen. And he says, okay, I'll come down the wall, because he didn't know that his boots stuck. And I said, you can't move. Your boots are stuck fast. He was like, I'm trying. I said, that is an order, citizen. Come down now. It is an order. So, of course, he got executed for failing to carry out orders. And his colleague got executed because he tried to shoot the wall to free the boots, and for damaging the computer's equipment. His colleague got executed as well.
Sounds like a good game.
Yeah, so then clone number 2 came in for each of them. But that's how it plays. It's very silly. It's very, very silly. It's a lot of laughs.
And what's the name of it?
Paranoia. Second edition is the best edition. That one.
And when did the second edition come out?
That was about 1986, 87.
Oh, it's
87.
It's an old one too.
It plays very fast and loose, and it specifically says in there, it goes into all the details of how the mechanics work, and then it just says at the end of that, but you're running the game, so you can apply whatever modifier or penalty you want, because it doesn't matter. They're going to die anyway. As long as you kill lots of them, that's all that matters. That's basically what it says, so it's good fun. It is good fun. It's very, 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 very silly. Right. That is a little sign for me, because my wife is coming to bed now. Because would you believe it's 9:30 here? She goes to bed at this time. So
Someone has to be before they come in.
I was going to say to everybody in chat, say hello to Richard. Richard is a new YouTuber. He has a channel, Richard the Dungeon Crawler, in where he talks about BetMe. He talks about unboxing stuff. He talks about painting, all that sort of thing. And his thumbnails are much better than mine. And he does all jazzy things with pictures that I don't do. And give him a sub and give him some thumbs up and help him out, because he's one of us.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
And Richard, if you want to play this Saturday, if you're free this Saturday, we're playing on Discord.
What are you playing?
Old School Essentials, basically.
Oh, it's old school.
It'll be either Gene or Gingerbeard running the morning session and me running the afternoon session. I'm saying morning, afternoon for your sort of time.
Okay.
The morning session might be a little early for you, but the afternoon session might well suit.
Okay, well, save a room for me.
Yeah. I mean, the link to the Discord channel is in the footnotes of most of my videos. I don't put it in everything because I'm very disorganized, but it's in most of them.
Okay.
In fact, shall I get it and post it in? Oh, Gene. Okay, Gene. Good to know that you'll be able to run it. Let's see if I'll just post, if I can find the Discord link. This is me being slow and stupid. I'm waiting for my wife to say yes. That's normal, but she hasn't. Evening, back. Hello. Right. I'm in.
Tell her we want to go to Canada, though.
I haven't mentioned that yet. I think I might have to. Beck, I want to go to Canada next year.
Ta-ra
then. Is that what she said? Ta-ra then. See ya. Oh wow. Richard.
Yes. Thank you.
Mika, thank you. Thank you very, very much. That's it's not necessary, but it is very, very gratefully received. Very, very gratefully received. Magnificent. Thank you. Thank you. I've put the list. Okay, can you see the Discord link in the chat?
Yes.
Are you able to? You can. There you go. That's the link to my channel. If you want to come and play some OSE, click that link. Come and join us. We're playing 2 games this Saturday. First one starts at 2 p.m. UK time, which is a bit early if you're on the West Coast. Sorry. The second one starts at 7 p.m. UK time, which is a bit more palatable. But thank you for joining us, Richard.
Okay.
I just thought it'd be nice to get a new creator, seeing as you've been coming along on a Friday, you've been joining in, got a new channel, just coming in and having a chat and just saying hello, and it's partly to getting used to the idea of live streaming and just chatting with fellow loonies in chat, because we're all a bit daft here. We're all a bit daft. But cheers. Thank you all, everyone in chat. I'm just going to end the
Okay.
stream in 3, 2,
Thanks,
1.
everyone.
Ta-da.